Hello class and welcome to week 6. This week you're going to be covering chapter 22, which is an introduction to the 15th century, but this time instead of focusing on Italy, this chapter is going to focus on sort of the rest of Europe. Although it's not even really so much the rest of Europe. There's a very heavy emphasis being placed on the modern day area of Belgium and the Netherlands, which we studied before and called Burgundy. And then like a little bit of France, a little bit of England, and a tiny little bit of Spain. But really the center of the art world as far as the north was concerned was that sort of low area of Belgium and the Netherlands. This chapter is going to focus around a religious change that happens in Europe in the 15th century. We talked about it a little bit when we discussed Italy, because we were concentrating on Italy's response to the Reformation, which is called the Counter-Reformation, but in this chapter you're going to see it from the sides of the people who were actually trying to reform the church. So we're going to talk a little bit about Lutheranism and the other forms of Protestantism that pop up during this century. Protestantism being, at this point, a term for any religion that was Protestant protest the Catholic Church. We're going to talk about what they had against the Catholic Church at the time. Important thing to remember for this chapter is that these are historic versions of a religion, so we may see some religions that are practiced currently by people you know or yourself. So just keep in mind that we're approaching this like a little bit like scholars, right? Not as people of faith, just for this class. And also know that this is an ancient version of that religion. So whether, whatever side you might feel like you find yourself on, just remember that it's distance from our current situation by 500 years. So neither side is fully on board with what they originally thought 500 years ago. They're, evolving and changing and mixing it up, not trying to open up old wounds of the Protestant Reformation. We don't have anything else really for this week. It's just a soft chalk lesson, and then you're filling out that chapter guide. So you should have gotten into a new group called the Third Chapter Guide. And again, I'm sorry if you got a double invitation. Please let me know if you were confused as to which group you should be in. But that is not due this week, and we don't have anything due for the timeline this week. So really all you're focusing on is this chapter. However, looking forward, during week 7 is when we will have our midterms. So one of the things you may want to do this week is begin to organize and review your notes from some of the earlier chapters. The midterm will cover vocabulary from the introduction, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So next week you'll be covering chapter 23 and then taking the midterm. Note that the midterm will have 2 sections right now. I only have 2 for the midterm currently. So the first one will be multiple choice, and that will come from the artistic techniques, critical terms of vocabulary, and the occasional historical figure from the handout guides. So it will be really good. It would be really good if you got those organized, maybe printed them out or saved them. I would recommend downloading them from the Google Drive and putting them somewhere else so that you're not trying to load them while taking the exam. Printing them out would probably be the best option because you can flip through them really easily. But that's just a personal preference. It's really up to you. But know that you can use those chapter guides and that the vocabulary that I use on the test will be coming directly from them. So it's a pretty good studying situation. Although I would recommend that you spend a little bit of time reviewing some of the vocabulary because the multiple choice section will be timed. You will have about a minute per question, and then it's not enough to be searching for the answers. It may be enough if you know where they are already. It's certainly not enough time to be trying to look it up online. So one of the things you want to do is make sure that you do have definitions for all of those terms. The second part will be a slide identification section where you'll see an image that was from one of those important artworks that was also in the chapter guide, and then you'll be asked a few questions about it, like what is the style, what is the historical context, what is the subject, and you'll have to pick 2 of those questions to answer in a short answer format, 1 or 2 sentences, not very long. I'll talk about it in more detail in our next video. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that was coming so that maybe you can spend some time this week preparing since it's otherwise a short week. I am going to be in LA this week, leaving on Wednesday wee hours of the morning and getting back on Sunday morning. So I may not be as accessible to email as I typically am. So, and I also may not get to your chapter guides as early in the week as I have before. So please excuse that. I'm going to the College Arts Association conference. I've never been to California before, so I'm super excited to eat all of the food and I get to go to the conference too. I'm not presenting this year. I presented last year, so I get to just kind of go and relax, which I'm looking forward to. Also a little vacation. I hope you have a nice week, and I will see you on Sunday, jet-lagged and bleary-eyed with another video.